Good afternoon. Rich Nass here with Open Systems Media, and I'm here for this week's call with Ray Zinn. Ray, as you know, is the former CEO of Micrel. He was at Micrel for 37 years, I believe it was. Is that right, Ray?
That's correct.
Okay, there you go. And he's also an author of a book named Tough Things First. He has a podcast by that same name, and he joins us every week, and we're very lucky to have him. Let's talk about something that affects us all here in, I was going to say everywhere in the U.S., but it's everywhere in the world. The fact that the educational system in a lot of places is broken. There's places in the country where you can get a really good public education. There's other places in the country where you have to get a private school education. And now I'm talking about before you get to college. And a lot of places the taxes are real high for that reason. In other places they're real low for that reason. But is that a problem that the education system is so off-balanced here in the U.S.?
Well, certainly it is not doing as well as I would like. I served as a school board member. It's an elected position, and in the early 80s. For 4 years, I served on the school board. And it's interesting that the teachers in the public school are focused on themselves. There's a union usually involved. And so it's a lot about their compensation and what's meaningful to them, and so that was the problem that I had back in the 80s. Is just trying to get the right kind of teachers for the right pay and keep them happy was not an easy task, because you're fighting the union as you would, and of course there's a tenure with teachers that after a certain period of time, then it's hard to get rid of them, and they get a little lackadaisical. But in my view, Rich, the problem with the educational system is not so much with the concept of the public education or the course material, but just the disrespect that the kids have toward their teachers. I have. Two of my children have homeschooled their kids, my grandchildren, and they do great. And so I think the parents of the children have more to do with the quality of the education than we're giving them credit for. The public school tends to attract. Of course, they have to have an education. So the parents that really don't have a lot to do with their children. Just put them in the the public school system, and the kids don't have any respect for their teachers because the parents don't, and so I think it's a troubled. There are more disruption, as you would, in the classroom because of these students that don't care about education, and that disrupts the entire class. So the kids that want to get education are suffering because the kids that don't want education make it such a miserable time.
So what to do about it? I mean, homeschool is certainly not for everybody.
Well, I think the reason parents do homeschool their children is for the reason we just talked about. The kids aren't getting that good an education when the teachers spend so much of their time doing more managing these problem students and just trying to maintain control in the classroom. So with that in mind, the parents of children that want a good education do suffer, and they pull their kids out of school, or pull them out of public school, send them to private, or homeschool them. So the kids that I have seen that come out of the homeschool, out of private schools, do much better than those that are in public schools.
But we're in a society that, for better or worse, in most cases, both parents have to work, so there's not somebody home to handle that.
Well, they're home sometime. In other words, they can't, be gone 24/7. So they are home, and granted that if both parents are working, it's hard to homeschool them. But they can spend time with their kids and gaining the respect or teaching the kids respect for others. and that's the important thing is I think the parents getting more involved with their children rather than just letting the system, as you would, bring them up. I mean, Hillary Clinton said it takes a whole village to raise a kid. Well, the parents ought to step in and raise those kids too, not just the village. So I think the problem is when we leave it up to the village to raise the kids, they don't do as well.
Yep, that's a fair point. Okay, so let's take this on to a different level. You hired tons and tons of people at Micrel. How do you feel about somebody who went to a university, and I'm being very general here, somebody who went to university in the U.S. versus somebody who went to a university outside of the U.S., say China, India, or in Europe?
Okay, what's the question, though?
Well, do you feel that the college education somebody gets in the U.S. is as good, better, or not as good as outside the U.S.?
I think the educational system we have here in the higher learning, the university or college level, I think they're good. And I don't think it matters whether you went to school in India or in China or Germany or any of the other non-U.S. schools. It's up to the kids again. We're back to the point that if you're there to waste time, you're not going to learn anything. Generally, when the kids go on to university or college level, they're there. They want to learn, and so they take a little different approach than when they were in grammar school or in high school. So I think those kids that want to learn will learn no matter what school they go to, whether they go to a junior college or whether they go to one of the main universities. So again, it's really the students that determine what kind of education they get, not so much the teachers themselves. So, by the way, Rich, a lot of these programs now are online, and I bet 20% of these kids are getting their education online.
Are you a fan of that online education?
For the most part, I'd say yes. I think with the technology we have available today and the materials that are available, and if the kids put forth the requisite effort, I think they can do pretty well with these online classes. In fact, even the schools where the kids are attending an actual physical university, many of their classes are online. So, in fact, I don't know of a single student that I'm aware of that isn't doing some online classes as we speak.
Yep, very true, very true. Okay, that's very interesting, and I'd like to hear what the audience has to say about that, about education in the U.S. and then education of the U.S. versus outside the U.S. So we'll see what people come back with. Well, thank you very much.
Let me bring up one point. Again, the education is more fostered in some of the foreign countries because the kids feel that from the foreign countries that they're at a disadvantage against the U.S. Kids because they're foreigners, as you would, and so they feel they have to try harder. In fact, the parents tell their kids that they have to do better because they're the minority, at least in the U.S. And so it's drummed into them that they're going to have to work harder, spend more time than the majority, as you would, kids.
That's interesting. It's a very interesting perspective about it. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate, as always, you spending the time with us, and I look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Well, thanks, Rich. I appreciate the opportunity.
That was Ray Zinn. He's the former CEO of Micrel. I'm Rich Nass with Open Systems Media, and hope you all have a great day.